When the storm hits, what is our first instinct? It is to move, to do something, anything. We believe that action, any action, is better than standing still. We mistake motion for progress. We think the person running the fastest, shouting the loudest, or working the hardest is the one who will make it through. This is a deeply ingrained myth in our culture. We are taught to hustle, to grind, to never stop. But this instinct, especially in times of crisis, is not just wrong. It is dangerous. It is the path to exhaustion, to wasted effort, and ultimately, to failure. True endurance is not born from frantic, mindless action. It is born from the quiet, deliberate, and often difficult pursuit of clarity. Think of a ship caught in a hurricane. Does the captain simply spin the wheel wildly? Does he order the crew to run back and forth across the deck, bailing water with thimbles? No. A good captain holds the wheel steady. He consults his charts. He watches the instruments. He understands the nature of the storm he is facing. He seeks clarity above all else. He knows that one wrong move, one panicked decision, could be the one that sends the ship and its crew to the bottom of the sea. His first job is not to act, but to see. To understand the reality of his situation, no matter how grim it may be. This is the foundation upon which all effective action is built. Without it, you are simply flailing in the dark. We see this same flawed impulse in our own lives. When faced with a financial problem, we might rush to sell assets at a loss, or take on high-interest loans out of sheer panic. When a relationship falters, we might send a flurry of desperate texts, or make grand, unsustainable promises. We feel the pressure to fix it, right now. The silence feels like defeat. The stillness feels like surrender. But what we are really doing is reacting to the chaos, not responding to the problem. We are letting our fear drive our actions. This is the opposite of endurance. It is a short-term burst of energy that will leave us depleted and in a worse position than when we started. The truth is that survival, resilience, and long-term success are not about the quantity of your actions, but the quality. And quality action can only come from a place of clear understanding. It requires you to pause when every fiber of your being is screaming at you to run. It demands that you ask the hard questions. What is really happening here? What is in my control and what is not? What is the most important thing right now? This pause is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. It is the moment you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the architect of your response. It is the first, most critical step toward genuine endurance. History is a vast and unforgiving teacher. It shows us time and again that the communities and individuals who endured the longest hardships were not the most frantic, but the most clear-headed. They were the ones who could look at their dire situation without illusion and make sober, deliberate choices. Consider the great famines that have swept across civilizations. The communities that survived were not necessarily the ones with the most food stored away. They were the ones who understood the reality of their scarcity. They were the ones who could clearly assess their situation, ration their supplies with discipline, and plant the right crops for the long, hard seasons ahead. They did not panic. They planned. The Stoic philosophers, from Marcus Aurelius on the throne of Rome to Epictetus, who was born a slave, built their entire philosophy around this principle. They understood that the world is chaotic and often cruel. They knew that war, plague, and political turmoil were not exceptions, but parts of life. Their primary tool for enduring these trials was not wealth or power, but clarity of mind. They practiced separating what was in their control, their thoughts, their judgments, their actions, from what was not. This simple act of division brought immense clarity. It allowed them to stop wasting energy on things they could not change and focus all their strength on what they could. This is not a passive philosophy. It is the ultimate strategy for effective action. Think of the pioneers crossing the American plains. Their journey was a months-long exercise in endurance. They faced starvation, disease, and the constant threat of the unknown. A single mistake, taking the wrong path, misjudging the weather, wasting precious water, could mean death for everyone. The leaders who successfully guided their wagon trains were masters of clarity. They did not rush ahead blindly. They sent out scouts. They studied the terrain. They listened to the wisdom of those who had gone before. They made decisions based on the cold, hard facts of their environment, not on wishful thinking or desperate hope. Their survival depended not on speed, but on accurate perception. This wisdom is timeless, because it is rooted in a fundamental truth about human nature and the world we inhabit. When we are overwhelmed, our vision narrows. We see only the threat directly in front of us. Clarity is the act of deliberately widening that vision. It is about stepping back to see the whole map, not just the treacherous river crossing ahead. The people who have navigated the greatest challenges in history did so by first achieving a state of inner calm and clear sight. They understood that before you can conquer the world outside, you must first conquer the chaos within. They knew that action without direction is just another word for self-destruction. Panic is clarity's greatest enemy. It is a fog that descends upon the mind, distorting reality and whispering that immediate frantic action is the only way out. But panic is a liar. The actions it inspires are almost always the wrong ones. They are born of fear, not of strategy. They are reactive, not responsive. Think of a person who fears they are losing their job. In a panic, they might start frantically applying for any and every position they see, regardless of fit. They might lash out at their boss or coworkers, burning bridges in the process. They might make rash financial commitments, assuming the worst is already upon them. These actions do not solve the problem. They create new ones. They are the costly byproduct of a mind clouded by fear. History provides stark examples of this on a grand scale. During the early days of a military conflict, a panicked general might send his troops into a poorly planned battle, leading to a devastating and unnecessary loss of life. He acts because he feels the pressure to do something, to show strength. But his haste, born of fear and uncertainty, leads to ruin. A clear-headed general, in the same situation, would pause. He would gather intelligence. He would assess his own strength and the enemy's weakness. His eventual action, when it comes, would be precise, strategic, and far more effective. The difference is not in their desire to win, but in their ability to see the path to victory clearly before they take the first step. This dynamic plays out in our modern lives every day. Consider a couple facing financial strain. A panicked response might be to blame each other, to hide purchases, or to take on a risky side hustle without proper research. This creates more conflict, more debt, and more stress. It wastes precious emotional and financial resources. A clear response, however, looks different. It involves sitting down together, laying out all the numbers honestly, and creating a realistic budget. It means cutting expenses with a shared goal in mind. It means communicating openly about fears and making a plan as a team. This approach is harder. It requires courage and vulnerability, but it is the only path that leads to a real solution. The core problem with panicked action is that it focuses on alleviating the feeling of anxiety rather than addressing the source of the problem. We act recklessly to make ourselves feel like we are in control, even if those actions are making the situation worse. Clarity, on the other hand, forces us to confront the source of the problem head-on. It demands that we look at the uncomfortable truth of our situation. This is why it is so difficult. It is far easier to run around in a frenzy than it is to stand still and face reality. But haste always makes waste. Wasted energy, wasted resources, wasted opportunities, and wasted trust. True endurance requires the discipline to resist the siren call of panic. In times of hardship, our resources become finite and incredibly precious. These resources are not just material, like money or food. They include our energy, our time, our focus, and the goodwill of our relationships. Acting without clarity is like punching holes in the very buckets we need to carry these resources through the desert. Every panicked decision, every wasted movement, every unnecessary argument drains something from us that we cannot easily get back. Clarity acts as a guardian of these resources. It ensures that our efforts are targeted, efficient, and purposeful. It prevents us from squandering what we need most to survive the long journey ahead. Imagine you are trying to navigate a complex project at work with a looming deadline. The unclear approach is to try to do everything at once. You answer emails as they come in, jump between tasks, and attend every meeting you are invited to. You are busy, yes. You are working hard. But you are not making meaningful progress on what truly matters. Your energy is scattered, your focus is fragmented, and your time is consumed by low-impact activities. You are depleting your most valuable professional asset, your ability to think deeply and solve hard problems, on trivialities. You are wasting your energy on motion, not momentum. Clarity, in this same scenario, would look completely different. It would begin with a simple question. What is the single most important task I need to complete to move this project forward? With that clear objective, you can be ruthless in protecting your resources. You turn off email notifications. You decline unnecessary meetings. You dedicate a block of uninterrupted time to that one critical task. You are not working less hard, but you are working smarter. Your energy is focused like a laser beam, not scattered like a broken light bulb. By seeing clearly what matters most, you preserve your energy for the work that will actually lead to success, ensuring you have enough in the tank for tomorrow and the day after that. This principle is even more critical in our personal relationships. During a family crisis or a difficult period in a marriage, emotional energy is the most precious resource of all. A lack of clarity leads to pointless arguments, rehashing old grievances, and blaming each other for things outside of anyone's control. This emotional churn is exhausting. It erodes trust and goodwill, making it harder to face the actual problem together. Clarity allows us to say, what is the core issue here? What can we do together to address it? It helps us preserve our connection by focusing our limited emotional energy on solutions and support, not on destructive conflict. Clarity doesn't just save your project or your finances, it can save your relationships. Endurance is not just a physical game, it is, above all, a psychological one. The longest, hardest trials are won or lost in the mind. The Stoics had a name for this internal fortress of strength, the inner citadel. This was a place within themselves that external events, no matter how terrible, could not touch. It was a sanctuary of reason, stability, and peace. The bricks and mortar of this citadel are not courage or toughness in the traditional sense. They are perception and judgment. In other words, the foundation of all mental fortitude is clarity. When you can see the world as it is, and your place in it, you become unshakable. When we lack clarity, our minds are a playground for anxiety and fear. Every unknown becomes a catastrophe. Every setback feels like a final defeat. We are tossed about by our emotions, reacting to every piece of news and every person's opinion. This is an incredibly fragile and exhausting way to live. We are giving away our power to the world outside of us. We are letting external chaos dictate our internal state. This is the psychological equivalent of trying to build a house on quicksand. It is impossible to endure any prolonged hardship from this position of internal weakness. Your mind will break long before your body does. Clarity builds the inner citadel by creating a space between stimulus and response. When something happens, you receive bad news, someone insults you, your plan fails. The lack of clarity leads to an immediate, emotional reaction. But with clarity, you can pause. You can observe the event without immediately being consumed by it. You can ask yourself, is this thing truly harmful, or is it just my judgment about it that is causing me pain? This simple question is a revolutionary act of mental self-preservation. It allows you to see that most of what upsets us is not the event itself, but the story we tell ourselves about it. This internal stability is the source of true peace. It is not the peace of a life without problems, but the peace of a mind that is not defeated by them. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you can handle whatever life throws at you, because your well-being is not dependent on external outcomes. It is a strength that comes from within. By practicing clarity, you are not just managing a crisis, you are forging a resilient character. You are building a fortress inside your own mind, a place of calm and reason that will protect you through this storm and every storm that is yet to come. This is the ultimate form of psychological endurance. Clarity is not a gift that some people are born with and others are not. It is not a mysterious state that descends upon us in moments of inspiration. Clarity is a skill, it is a practice. It is something that must be cultivated intentionally, especially when we least feel like it. It requires work, discipline, and a commitment to seeing the truth, no matter how inconvenient that truth may be. Like building physical strength, building mental clarity requires consistent training. The good news is that the tools for this practice are simple, accessible, and have been tested for thousands of years. They are available to you right now. The first and most powerful practice for finding clarity is journaling. Writing is thinking. When you force yourself to put your swirling, anxious thoughts onto a page, you are forced to give them structure and sense. You take the formless chaos in your head and make it concrete. Ask yourself simple questions and write down the answers. What am I afraid of? What is the worst-case scenario? What are the facts of my situation? stripped of my emotional interpretation. What is one small action I can take right now that is fully within my control? This process slows your mind down and separates fact from fear. It is a mirror that shows you what is really there, not what your anxiety tells you is there. Another essential practice is to seek perspective. When we are in the middle of a crisis, our view is incredibly narrow. We need to deliberately zoom out. This can be done by talking to a trusted friend, mentor, or therapist, someone who is not caught in the emotional storm with you. It can also be done by reading history or biography. When you read about the immense struggles that others have faced and overcome, your own problems are placed in a larger context. They may not shrink, but your ability to face them grows. You realize that you are not the first person to face this trial, and you will not be the last. This connection to the shared human experience is a powerful source of clarity and strength. Finally, practice stillness. In our hyper-connected world, we are constantly bombarded with information, opinions, and demands for our attention. This noise is the enemy of clarity. You must carve out moments of silence in your day. This does not have to mean an hour of meditation, though that can be powerful. It can be as simple as a 10-minute walk without your phone. It can be sitting in a quiet room for a few minutes before starting your workday. It is in these moments of stillness that the dust settles. It is here that you can hear your own thoughts, untangled from the noise of the world. Clarity does not shout, it whispers. You must be quiet enough to hear it. In a world that glorifies action, choosing stillness can feel like an act of rebellion. It can feel passive, lazy, or even cowardly. We are conditioned to believe that when things are hard, we must push harder, move faster, and do more. The pressure to act, from our boss, our family, ourselves, can be immense. To resist this pressure, to choose to pause and seek clarity first, is not a passive delay. It is an active and courageous choice. It is the decision to trust that the right action, taken at the right time, is infinitely more powerful than a dozen wrong actions taken in a hurry. Think of a firefighter arriving at a burning building. A panicked, unclear firefighter might rush inside without assessing the situation. This is not brave, it is reckless. It endangers not only their own life, but the lives of their team and anyone they are trying to save. A courageous, clear-headed firefighter, however, takes a crucial few moments to be still. They observe the fire. Where is it spreading? What is the structure of the building? Where are the potential entry and exit points? This pause is not inaction. It is the most important action they will take. It is an act of strategic stillness. It is this clarity that allows them to move with purpose and save lives. Choosing clarity over haste requires a deep form of courage. It is the courage to face uncertainty without immediately trying to extinguish it. It is the courage to sit with your anxiety and not let it dictate your behavior. It is the courage to tell others, "I need to think about this," when they are demanding an immediate answer. This is not easy. It can feel like you are letting people down. But what you are actually doing is honoring the situation with the seriousness it deserves. You are choosing to be responsible, not just reactive. You are demonstrating the leadership of someone who values effectiveness over the appearance of being busy. This courage to be still is an essential component of endurance. Constant frantic action leads to burnout. It is unsustainable. By strategically pausing to gain clarity, you are conserving your energy for the long haul. You are ensuring that when you do act, your actions will be potent and effective. This is not about avoiding action. It is about making your actions count. It is the difference between a wild, swinging punch that misses its target and a well-aimed strike that lands with precision and power. The stillness before the strike is not a sign of hesitation. It is a sign of a master who is about to act decisively. We all face trials. We all have mountains to climb. Hardship is not a matter of if, but when. In these moments, the world will tell you to hurry. Your own fear will tell you to run. Your instinct will be to do something, anything, to make the feeling of pressure go away. The message of this essay is to resist that impulse. The first step on the path of true endurance is not a step forward, but a step back. It is the step back to see the whole picture. It is the commitment to understanding a problem before you attempt to solve it. It is the choice to let clarity be your guide. This is your call to action. The next time you feel overwhelmed, panicked, or lost, I want you to stop. Don't send that angry email. Don't make that rash decision. Don't start running in a direction you haven't thought about. Instead, take a breath. Take out a piece of paper. Go for a walk. Find a moment of stillness amidst the chaos. Ask yourself the simple, powerful questions. What is actually happening here? What is in my control? And what is the most important thing for me to do next? Let the answers come. Look at the situation with cold, clear eyes, free from the distortions of fear and ego. This is not a one-time fix. It is a lifelong practice. Building the habit of seeking clarity first is like building a muscle. It will be difficult at first. You will feel the pull of your old reactive habits. But with each intentional pause, with each decision made from a place of understanding rather than panic, the muscle will grow stronger. You will find that you are better able to handle stress. You will preserve your energy and your relationships. You will build that inner citadel of calm and strength that can withstand any storm. You will find that you are not just surviving your challenges, you are growing through them. Remember, endurance is not about gritting your teeth and running headfirst into a wall. It is about navigating the obstacle course of life with intelligence, purpose, and grace. And that navigation is impossible without a clear map. Clarity is that map. It is the light that illuminates the path forward. It is the foundation upon which all strength, all resilience, and all meaningful action is built. Before you act, before you strive, before you endure, first, see, slow down, seek understanding, and let clarity be the key that unlocks your true, lasting endurance.